Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you being here. Make sure you smash that like button on YouTube for us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. Podcast listeners, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Fellas, we saw it. It was actual hockey. There were coaches, there were whistles, there were goalies, there were pucks and sticks and players.
Yeah.
Hockey is freaking back.
And locker
finally.
room stench.
And
Day
locker
one,
room
and
stench.
it reeks.
You could definitely tell the difference between the NHL locker room and a locker room full of kids coming from juniors.
Yes, it is a...
You could smell it before you even get there.
I think I described to Greg the smell of the locker room is a combination of the cheapest pizza you can imagine and feet.
It's
Sometimes the cheapest pizza you can have does smell like feet, though. So.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I would describe it as the back of a knee pad with a bag of Cheetos.
That's a good... Yeah, it's not a good smell, but it's a good description.
Yeah.
It's not great,
No.
but
It's
I was
not great,
never happier
But
to
on
smell
day
that
one
smell.
of actual practices,
I'm just glad
it was great.
that once the NHL guys get there, the funk goes away.
It's amazing
Yeah.
how getting new equipment every year really changes
And
things.
actually cleaning them after every game.
Yeah.
Not just throwing them in your bag
Amazing.
and moving
Yeah,
on to the
right.
next.
Yeah.
I'm not
Ontario
kidding.
town.
We joke about the smelly guy from the Wild, and if people are late on this show, last year during the Tom Kurvers tournament, I was sitting. So at the
Right
fifth, if you've
behind
been to
them.
Fifth Third, there's the penalty box. Then there's probably like an 8-foot wide walkway between the glass and the seating area. Then I was probably 8 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
And this Minnesota Wild prospect gets in the box,
So you're sitting like up over the bed.
up over, but still behind.
Yeah.
And it was like I almost had to move. It smelled so bad. That's how bad these prospects smell. And that's the worst I've ever smelled.
Yeah.
But holy cow, it was awful.
Hey!
It was yeah, it was bad. If you've ever crossed the ice after a game is played, when I used to cover the Milwaukee Admirals when they played at the Bradley Center, RIP, when you would leave for media to go to the locker room, they let you just walk across the ice to the bench and then to the locker room. And you'd walk across the ice, and the ice surface where they're all playing smelled like the locker room.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Can't we just put some Febreze in the ice, like in the Zamboni?
And there's not a more disgusting surface on the planet of the earth than the floor of a hockey bench.
Oh, yeah.
It's just disgusting. It's
Spit
so
and it's
gross.
so bad.
Yeah, it's just boogers. It's
bad.
disgusting.
Behind the scenes, it's not as glamorous
Good
as
thing
you
this
think
is
it
not a
is.
smell-o-vision pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spit, snot
But you know what?
rockets,
I
sweat.
missed that smell. I
Yeah.
was never.
Yeah.
I was happy to smell it, but let's hope tomorrow it's not as stinky.
Yeah. It probably will
I got
be.
my
Can you
fill of it.
imagine how it had to have smelled when Jeremy Roenick pooped himself on the bench?
Not
Oh, boy.
good.
And
Oh, boy.
and Mike Keenan could smell that specifically over the rest of this.
It's
Right.
probably maybe it was a
hockey stink.
welcome improvement. Like, oh wow, that's
Fresh
at
air.
least
Woo.
that's natural. Oh, whatever
is-
that. Yeah, it's gross. It's
And
disgusting.
speaking of which, it's Jeremy Roenick days until the opening day of the
That's
season.
true.
That's right.
Thanks,
Lucas
Wizards of
Reichel
Hockey.
days.
Adam
Frankel
Boquist days.
Yep.
All right, all right.
Ty Jones.
You win.
It's not good. It's not a good smell, but I'm very glad it's back in my life.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Ty Jones,
So what do we see today? I mean, a
Hockey
lot of
players.
skating around, a lot of drills.
Young hockey players doing drills. Look, I mean, it's not even prospect camp. It's the pre-Tom Kurvers rookie showcase, day one of practice. It's not even the full spectrum of the prospects and rookies that the Blackhawks have. College players are already with their NCAA program, so no Oliver Moore, no Frank Nazar, Landon Slagert, so on and so forth. They're all with their program. So it's a smaller group of guys, but still good to see. Getting them out there. You get to see a little bit of, where some of these guys who have been here for a few years, where they've progressed physically and on ice in their mechanics and everything. And then you get to see for the first time on the ice, guys from the class of 2023 draft class. Obviously the highlight, Connor Bedard wasn't there today. He's there tomorrow. But it's just good to see the guys on the ice, get a feel for their mechanics and how they look and how they play off of each other. So it's a lot of drills, a lot of practices, not a lot of big takeaways you can take away on the ice. But it's good to get the group together, get them playing, get them being a little bit competitive, and good day one. Yeah,
even Ice Hogs head coach Anders Sorensen spoke afterwards, and he said, obviously he doesn't get to watch a lot of these guys throughout the year. It's not his job. He's coaching the Ice Hogs. He's trying to win games in Rockford. So he's not watching film on Kevin Korchinski or Gavin Hayes. He hasn't seen them on the ice since last year.
Right.
So he's like, hey, some of these guys look like men. They've gone from being boys a year ago to looking like men. And one of those guys he specifically mentioned was Kevin Korchinski, saying that he's filling out into his frame. He looks like he's ready to go.
Firmer was the term.
Firmer, which, made me a little uncomfortable.
He's firmer.
But I know and understood. But that's what you want to hear. That not only are these guys growing, within their game, but also getting that pro body. And he mentioned Marcel, who is skipping another year at juniors and sign an AHL contract. And he had mentioned because he's got Sorensen was asked about that, and he said because they're doing that because he's got a pro body. He's got that frame. He's ready to go. He's a big kid, and he's looking, I think that's a great move for a guy like Marcel to go right to the AHL and just get ready, start that pro career early. And before we get any further, I want to welcome Marcus, who's in the chat. We've got another international fan. I think it's our first fan from Austria.
Nice.
Yeah, shout out to Marcus.
Sweet.
Yeah, very cool. Welcome, Marcus. Thanks for checking in. And I know we've got Portugal, we've got Scotland, we got Mexico among our regulars. Mm-hmm. So welcome aboard. I love the international flair we got going on.
Pretty sure we have Germany as well.
I think so, yes.
We've had Germany, yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a couple people asking, Oliver Moore, Frank Nazar, those guys,
college kids.
They're back in school. School has already started, so they're not here because they're playing and practicing with their college teams and hopefully going to class.
Yeah, well,
they had math, they had geometry tests this morning and couldn't make it.
So here's who is there, in case you're wondering. This is an alphabetical order of forwards. Connor Bedard, who will be there tomorrow. Colton Dock, Yuri Felshman. Is it Felkman? Felshman,
I believe.
Felshman. Ryan Gagne. He is an invite, non-draft pick. Gavin Hayes, Nick Lardis, Paul Ludwinski, Marcel, Martin Miziak, Alex Farrand, Ryder Ralston, Lucas Romeo, another invite, Antti Sorella, Samuel Savoie, defenseman Nolan Allen, Lucas Brenton, he's another invite, Louis Crevier, Ethan Del Mastro, Wyatt Kaiser, Kevin Korchinski, Andrew Perrott, and then you've got Drew Commesso and Mitchell Weeks in goal. So that is your roster for the remainder of this week.
And Jackson Stauber was there, but he's just practicing. He won't play in the showcase.
Yeah. So that's going to be, like we said, there's not a ton to glean from watching these drills. I'll say one guy that stood out to me was Miziak. I thought he looked really good. What you're looking for in these drills is who is winning their battles most often, who is converting their chances most often, who is faster on their skates. Everything is so bunched up. Everything is so regimented. It's also reliant on what the other guys are doing in the drills. But when you see somebody stand out, like Miziak, Korchinski stood out too, obviously because of his speed. I thought Nolan Allen, and we can talk about this a little bit, and I think we'll have a little bit more of an understanding as the preseason goes on, but we talk about Korchinski as if a kid's going to make this team, it's Korchinski, because he'd have to go back to junior, which is true. If you're going strictly on NHL readiness, to me, Nolan Allen looks the most NHL ready.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about looking like a man. Nolan Allen looks like an NHL veteran out there.
Yeah.
And not just because he's older in the physical appearance and size, but the way he plays. There's very little wasted movement in his skating, his stick handling. While he's not an offensive defenseman, he controls the puck really well. To me, Nolan Allen looks NHL ready. I don't know. And I know that the Korchinski WHL thing changes that dynamic a little bit, but strictly on the merits of NHL readiness, Nolan Allen might be the most ready.
He's in a really good spot to be able to go to Rockford and likely play a lot of significant minutes. Coming into camp and looking, again, firmer and more like a man is good for guys who are at that 20, 21-year-old age group, making the first jump to the professional game. I'm excited to see it. He did look good today. I'm excited to see how he looks tomorrow and Friday as well. See how he plays in the games. It looks like he's going to be playing with Kevin Korchinski at least today. Every little defensive drill that they did or skill game, whatever it was, when there was a defensive pairing, him and Korchinski were together, which makes a lot of sense because two of your better defensemen play together, two guys that played with Seattle. But it is interesting that, Korchinski left shot on the left side. Allen, who when we talked with we talked with Kyle Davidson and Luke Richardson at development camp, kind of got mentioned that Nolan Allen could be one of those guys that plays off his side, on his offside, play on the right as a left shot defenseman to be able to do that. So that's how they have it set up for this, at least for now. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles that when they get into a game situation, if that's going to be the pairing that they go with. But him, Del Mastro, it's going to be interesting to see how they transition to the professional game, given where they are physically in their development. Last year at Prospect Camp, we said Ethan Del Mastro looked like a man amongst boys. And again, him and Allen and Korchinski, these are tall, filling out their frame defensemen. It's a good thing for them to be at that spot in their physical maturity.
Yeah, I was going to mention everything you just said about Nolan Allen, you said a year ago about Ethan Del Mastro.
Yeah, no doubt.
Almost to verbatim.
Which is not bad.
Which is a great thing.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that those two guys are joining Rockford together.
Yeah.
They're most likely going to be their top pairing, or at least their pairing that, as the season goes on, probably gets the most defensive responsibility.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, you're going to get, Kaiser or Vlasic down there. Phillips could be bumping back and forth. But I think those are the guys that, as the season goes on, 1-goal lead, less than 2 minutes to play, defensive zone draw, those are the first two over the boards.
Yeah.
And that's really good. And getting those guys, kind of on the same trajectory and getting familiar with each other. Allen and Korchinski familiar with each other for spending, most of last season together in Seattle. It's just really good that you've got, and then this is, as we'll hear in some of our comments from Drew Commesso in a moment and Wyatt Kaiser as well, just the closeness of this group is impressive. And a lot of that has, not all of it, but a big factor of that is that off-ice development camp from last year. Andre Sorensen mentioned it too, just how that really got these guys to know each other better as not just teammates, not just other hockey players, but as human beings, and they're friends, and that's just going to make these guys work even harder. When you like the guys you're trying to accomplish a mission with, it makes the accomplishment of that mission more likely, because you're going to go the extra step, because those are your buddies. They're not just your coworkers.
Right.
It's a real good vibe what they've got going with this group, and that's exactly what Kyle Davidson has been preaching and Luke Richardson has been preaching about culture.
Yeah.
And that's when you start the culture, is when they're still in juniors in college and working their way up through the system. So by the time they get to Chicago to be everyday NHL players, it's ingrained, and it's let's go.
And there was a moment, you talk about these guys getting to be closer and get to know each other a little bit more. There was a moment in one of the drills where Korchinski was coming around from behind the net and Savoie was coming the opposite direction on, opposite teams. And it looked like he was going to line him up and maybe, try and get him in the hip and try and up and end him. And he pulled up and stopped. And I noticed that, and I was just like, maybe if this was a different camp, a different atmosphere where you're, maybe trying to make an impression, maybe he follows through with that hit. But he definitely pulled up and didn't go with the contact. So, yeah, you're out there. You're competitive. The energy is high, but you're also doing it, like you said, you're doing it with your buddies, with your teammates.
Right.
You're not doing it with someone who you're trying to beat out for, strictly trying to beat out for a job.
Definitely would have been a different result had that play happened in a Memorial Cup game.
Yes,
Korchinski
would have been
might have been on the ice for a few
He might have been
moments.
flipped up and over.
Yeah.
So we mentioned Wyatt Kaiser. Anders Sorensen was asked who stood out today. That was the first name he said was Wyatt Kaiser. We had a chance to talk with him after practice today. Apologies for the audio. It's really difficult to do like interviews in the locker room when there's so many people in there. We're going to try to improve upon that tomorrow, but hopefully you bear with us, and this should be audible enough to air. But this is Wyatt Kaiser after practice today.
First day of camp, how'd it go?
Good. Oh, it's fun. I mean, I got up and down the ice. Just kind of getting back into it. It's a long summer. Oh, it's fun.
You got a wide open sort of an opportunity to make the team out of camp. What's your personal mindset coming in?
I mean, to be honest with you, I want to make the team, so I'm going to go in there and just compete and just enjoy every day. That's kind of the mindset. Keep it pretty simple and not try to do anything crazy or psych yourself up. I don't know.
You got that small taste of the NHL at the end of last season. Was there something in particular you would take from that into your training this summer and out in the camp?
I don't know if I took exactly one thing away. I mean, hockey doesn't change too much from level to level, I think. But probably the main thing I take away is just mental. I mean, I think the guys that play with confidence are the guys that are the best. So just kind of trying to figure out how to mentally stay in it and kind of just relax and play the game.
It's got to do a lot, too, for your confidence, just knowing that you were able to go and play NHL games and kind of hold your own. Kind of beyond you played pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps me to be comfortable a little bit in the situation, but just try not to let that go to your head because it's still a long way to go from where I want to be.
Everybody talks about, when you ask about like the biggest difference from level to level, it's the speed. Is there anything else you noticed jumping to the NHL and saying, wow, this is a little more than I expected in maybe what category?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me was just how smart guys are. And the ability to just make small little plays. Like, a lot of times, guys are in the right positions much quicker than any league that you play at. So, like, even like on TV, maybe it looks a little slow to watch, but everybody's just so, like, they're in the right position already, and guys know where they're passing already. So it looks easy, but that's kind of the biggest difference I saw.
You guys got a week of development camp, but it was all off ice stuff. So it seems that's really bonded this group together. Have you noticed that on the first day here?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of these guys have known for a couple of years now. First dev camp was really fun. Second, like this summer was extremely fun. So yeah, I think we're a pretty tight knit group. It's hard not to get a bunch of good guys in the locker room.
Thanks.
That is Wyatt Kaiser after practice today. I think it's interesting when the guys get that little taste of the NHL and really see what it's like. And like I said to him, like everyone always says, oh, the speed is the big difference. But sort of what I was saying about Nolan Allen showing a difference, and I want to clarify because I did say the same thing about Del Mastro last year, but to me that was more about how he looked physically. Like, look at that guy and look at these kids.
Right.
Yeah.
With Allen, it was more of like an on-ice difference too. And you know, what Kaiser says is there's no, like, you're in a game and everyone on the ice in the NHL knows where to be and they almost can predict where the puck's going to go. So I think sometimes when people say speed, we equate that to foot speed, skating speed, when it's also the speed of the game, meaning you've got to get somewhere faster or plays happen and develop more quickly, those sort of things. And that's I thought that was really interesting, the way he explained that hey, like, you're not what you were able to do in the AHL or junior, you can't do anymore because everybody that's at the NHL level knows where the F to be all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless Jeremy Collins your coach.
Yes.
Shots fired.
Yeah. When you say like adjusting to the speed of the game, it's like you said, not just foot speed. It's how you process everything that's happening. It's how fast you can make a decision when the puck is on your stick. There's a very interesting, if you go and look at the stats for how much time specific players have the puck possession for a 60-minute game, this will be something I want to actually look into this year and track a little bit more. But you will likely see in games this year, 60-minute game, for example, Connor Bedard may have the puck in his possession on his stick for a minute and a half of combined time. He might play 20 minutes and specifically control the puck for a minute and a half. So it comes down to, for these players, what do you do in that minute and a half of time where you have possession of the puck? So those decisions have to happen so much faster. So it's not just, like you said, not just foot speed. It's processing the game mentally, what you see on the ice, thinking the game, where you have to be, your response time, and then when the puck's on your stick, what kind of plays are you making and what decisions are you making with it? Are you going to just dump it and hot potato get it away, or are you going to be able to read the play, know where teammates are going, and get the puck there?
Mental quickness. It's just as important as physical quickness. Everybody that's in the NHL was once the best player on their junior team or the best player on their college team or whatever. They all know what's supposed to happen. It's just, can your brain get quicker to make it happen before they can get to that spot? That's part of the learning process, and it's fun to watch these guys get that. And it's also fun to see these guys that participate in one of these camps and then go back to their junior teams and elevate their game even further than juniors, because now they're taking that NHL approach to an OHL game or a Q game, and it hopefully can get them better acclimated as well.
I know I talk about this a lot, but it's always stood out to me when Wayne Gretzky was asked like why he was able to be as dominant as he was. He said that he had an ability to know where the puck was going to be before it was there. Because you look at Wayne Gretzky physically, even when he played, he's not some supreme athlete. He wasn't this giant. He wasn't Eric Lindros or somebody who had this crazy edge, or he wasn't a blazing fast skater like Pavel Bure or something like that. It was up here for Gretzky. That was the difference. And that sort of illustrates the point of, like, you don't have to be a speed burner, but you have to be able to think the game as well.
Yeah.
And that was the difference of, he had great shooting accuracy and could make great passes and everything, but it was also that deeper understanding of, all right, it's over here, processing, right? The meme of all the math problem floating in front of your face. Wayne Gretzky gets going in hyperspeed, and he knows exactly where to be, exactly where the puck's going to be, and when it gets there, what's going to happen next, 2-3 steps ahead. And that seems to be like, when you ask the greats that question, like, what separated you? It wasn't that I was just bigger, stronger, faster than everybody. It was the mental part of the game, which is I think fascinating. All right, should we take our first break here?
Sure.
Yeah, we should. Do it. Hey, are you in the market for a new vehicle? If you are, then we've got some amazing news for you. Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fox Lake have just joined the CHGO team. And at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and find unforgettable savings. And right now, during Jeep Adventure Days at Ray CDJR in Fox Lake, you'll be able to take up to 15% off MSRP on all new 2023 Jeep Gladiator models. But that's not all. Now through September 30th, explore their newly renovated showroom and take advantage of breathtaking deals as they celebrate their grand reopening. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, because they are the only team we recommend for a new vehicle. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com today, serving the community since 1963.
You guys have trouble sleeping ever?
Every night.
Yes.
Trouble relaxing?
Every day.
Sometimes.
Trouble getting the thoughts out of your head that is everyone mad at me all the time?
That's my life.
Sometimes.
Yeah, take a trip to Sunnyside. It's your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors, both experienced and novice, are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality cannabis products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate and let your football season become more tolerable. No matter where you are on your cannabis journey, they've got easy online ordering and in-store pickup, and a great transparent loyalty program called Sunnyside Rewards. It is Illinois' favorite dispensary with good reason. I mentioned the sleep thing because that's a big thing for me. I don't think I've slept through the night since I was probably an infant. And it's been a huge problem for me, having to do a show live every day and be somewhat sharp. Sleep has become more important than ever, and that's when I discovered the Good News Counting Sheep gummies and vapes, and they absolutely helped me sleep through the night. Went to bed last night at 9:30. Took a half of one of those and woke up at 8:30 a.m. And that was it.
Wow, that's
There was
impressive.
nothing in between. I had an Austin Powers moment of extended release, you know what I mean? Because you don't wake up in the middle of the night to do that, then you got to go a little longer. But it's okay. It's worth it. I slept through the night, woke up refreshed, feeling good, ready for the first day of hockey. That's the Good News Counting Sheep. But whatever sort of experience you're looking for, be it anxiety or you just want to go out and have a good time and let loose a little bit, the folks at Sunnyside will help you with that. Now through October 15th, head to sunnyside.shop and use that code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. One use per customer, not stackable with other promotions, but it's not only for new customers. Anyone can use that code. Pick up everything you need to elevate your football season. Must be 21 plus or an Illinois MedCard holder. Again, that is sunnyside.shop, and the code is CHGO25. And we want to remind everybody that while our CHGO Blackhawks takeover at the United Center for February 25th is sold out, the Chris Chelios retirement game, tickets are still available for the game on November 4th. So go to allchgo.com to buy your tickets to join us. You get a pregame drinks and a meetup with us, the CHGO Blackhawks crew. Obviously a ticket to the game. Get to hang out. There's usually a T-shirt element mixed in there as well. So lots of good stuff coming your way. Last year we were in the Goose Island little brewery there inside the United Center. So as the details unfold, we'll let you know. But the hope is to once again be located right there in the United Center. So we just have a couple drinks, head right to the game.
Be a very good setup if that if we make that happen again.
Very convenient. So you Jimmy Dugan did, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was. It just took a long,
I don't
usually
have
like
that issue. I'm up 3 times a night.
Well, that's the thing. That's usually what I do. Is I'm up 3 times a night.
Old man, small bladder talk here
Yeah,
at CHGO Blackhawks.
I woke up today and was like, well, I'm up. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
The problem is if I were to take some of those gummies from Sunnyside to help me sleep, who would do our 3 a.m. research?
well, you know what? We appreciate you for that.
Way to take one for the team.
Yeah, it's a work hazard if I sleep through the night.
It's true.
That's right. Yeah, with that important info.
Yeah.
But hey, man, we used that right away on the show that you were off for.
Yes.
Thanks for the work, Mario.
Hey,
gave you the Savoie salute.
What I'm here for.
And
No such thing as an off day for Mario.
Yeah, no
That's
days
right.
off.
That's right. Speaking of the Savoie salute, we got to talk to him today too at practice, and we got that interview queued up here. So here is Samuel Savoie. A little bit of a warning. He's sporting a mustache that is
Not good.
slightly off-putting.
Oh, it's amazing. Come on.
It's a little off-putting.
It's not good.
He's not allowed near Chuck E. Cheese, and I thought it weird that he had a van in the parking lot that said free candy on the side. But alas, here we are. Here is Samuel Savoie, my guy, after practice today.
First day of camp. How's it feel out there?
Good. I think it's fun to come back after juniors, and we were all here at DevCamp seeing the guys and from last year, that experience. So I think it's just to be better than last year and bring that energy and have fun here.
What's kind of your goals for the season on a personal level? I know team sport and all, but what are you hoping to achieve for yourself this year?
So I think World Juniors would be nice. I got invited to the first thing. I want to make that in kind of December. that would be great. I think it's just to take another step. In Gatineau, we're not going to be the best team this year. There's a lot of young guys, and everything changed. So just to be a leader and be a role model for those guys, and to make them better players and make myself a better hockey player. So it's going to be a challenge, and I'm happy to see how it's going to go. But it's probably that.
For day one of camp, it seems like a lot of guys having fun out there, like you know each other pretty well. Does that kind of relate that to what was going on with the summer? You guys getting together, doing stuff with the team?
Yeah, I think it's just we don't see. I have a lot of friends here that play in the WHL or the OHL, and you don't see them during the season, so you're very happy to be on the ice with them here in Chicago, and maybe they're going to be future teammates and all that, so you get a chemistry and get a bonding going for the games this weekend.
What was your reaction when you saw the Blackhawks were getting number one overall pick? Hey, I'm going to play with Connor.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, he was in the Maritimes for World Juniors, obviously, and I think the lottery was right after that, and it was crazy. I was watching, and he's so good, and it's fun to see that maybe at some point in our future we might be teammates, or I can watch him play and all that. So it's nice to know I'm probably going to be on the ice with him.
Tell us about the mustache.
The mustache, eh? I think it's just a bit of style. I don't know. I just a lot of people don't have it, and I want to keep it. So
keep it going, make it your thing.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not good.
I mean, this is quite the city to have a mustache in especially in the sports arena. You definitely have to live up to a big history there, and that one is coming up short.
Teen Uncle Rico, that's my favorite.
Yeah, it's
But he's still.
What, 19?
He's a teenager. He's got time to grow into that mustache.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. The mustache has a long storied history in Chicago. You gotta. I think you gotta accomplish something when you get that stash.
I gotta say though, in the video and seeing him on the ice, it looked like kind of like a little dirt stash. Like,
yeah, he had
up close, so it had some body to it. Like
he's got light hair, so it's a little harder.
And I think a little shaky hand when he was trying to sculpt it. There was a little wavy line there. It looked like he tried to trim it with an etch and sketch a little bit. But it's I give him props.
He's working on it.
Like what Zach says. He says, think about it. He's going to have that stash. It's going to piss the opponents off.
Yeah,
he's definitely going for the villain role, I think, and he embraces it.
It's there to upset
you. That's great. And, hopefully the stash is like, we forget about the stash because he's doing great things.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that his goal is to make the World Junior team for Team Canada this year. I mean, that's a huge thing, and it would be a great step in his progression as well.
Yeah, he was part of their summer program, which was great to see. And I mean, he's not a guy whose play style jumps off the page as, oh yes, Team Canada for sure, but you never know. I mean, he's going to have an elevated role this year. He's got the confidence of the Blackhawks behind him, having signed him to his entry-level deal. I think there's a lot of promise behind him. So yeah, I would be very interested to see when it comes to that time if he's part of their on ice camp, and go from there.
Well, look, we talk about it all the time, right? Building a team versus just throwing the best players all in a row and saying, here's the 12 best forwards, 6 best defensemen, 2 best goalies. You need all different kinds of players, and Savoie's got the physicality. I feel like it's almost lazy to compare him to Andrew Shaw, but damn, it is so accurate.
Yeah.
Like, they even kind of look the same.
They have that same kind of, that same hockey rat kind of appearance. Like, just that.
And even in practice today, he's got to, like, fight the instincts to play like a prick.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just part of his game.
It's got that Buzz McAllister look to him.
I was
yes. Your girlfriend.
I was able to talk to him for other projects that we're doing here with CHGO, and one of the questions was, if you didn't play hockey, what would you want to do? And his answer was he'd want to be a lawyer because he loves getting into arguments.
Ha!
And it's just like I believe it. I've seen you play hockey. I believe you. That is a part of your life that you like to dig into is getting in people's faces and having these having those arguments wherever they might be. So yeah, I mean he's he's a guy that has that style for sure.
And he seems like a guy that gets that he's got a very specific role to play, and he accepts it, and he embraces it. He knows he's not going to be the superstar. He's not going to be the all-star on this team, but he's going to play a very important role that few people can really excel at and be good at. And the quicker, the earlier young players understand that, the better they're served in the NHL.
Yeah, and I also don't want to undersell his ability as a player either. He was I know it's the Q, but he's almost a point-per-game player, 59 points in 60 games, 26 goals, 33 assists. That's with 90 penalty minutes. Like, the kid's got ability. He's not just some guy who's going to go out there and take penalties and trip people and hack and slash people and then call it a day.
Right.
He actually has hockey ability. And when I watch him on the ice, the reason I like him is for all the reasons we talked about. Like, he is kind of funny. He's kind of scrappy. He's kind of a dick on the ice. But at the same time, like, you watch him among those prospects, and he's one of the better ones. He's a good hockey player.
Yeah.
Again, what that means in the NHL, how those 59 points translate in an NHL season remains to be seen, but it's not like he's going to come up to the NHL and just be completely lost and outskilled and outmatched. I don't think that's the case. I think to me, he looks like an NHL player. It's not going to be this year, probably not next year, but soon Samuel Savoie will be in the conversation to be a regular on the Blackhawks roster if things continue the way they do. And I really do hope that he makes that Team Canada roster, because you talk about being around the best, being coached by the best, playing against the best competition. Those things are invaluable in the development of a player. And like, as we were watching Connor Bedard last year before the Hawks won the draft lottery, it was like, all right, well, he's dominating in the Western Hockey League, but, what's he going to do in the World Juniors? And then he just dominates the World Juniors with 20 points in 7 games. Yeah. Like, okay, every challenge he's faced, right? But the more of those challenges he gets, the more it prepares him for the arrival.
Yeah.
Be it Connor Bedard, be it Samuel Savoie, be it Marcel, the more of those opportunities these guys get, the better prepared they're going to be for the NHL. Yeah. So please, I really hope Savoie makes it.
And
awesome.
I think we're going to see an uptick in Savoie's offensive production in juniors this year, too, because he mentioned that it's going to be a younger team in Gatineau this year, and he's going to be looked upon to be one of the leaders, which is going to be another great thing for his development, too. But I think we're going to probably see a pretty good offensive year, because they're going to need him, at least early on in the season, to be one of the leaders as they try and figure out which one of these younger kids, first-year players, are going to step up and take over that role.
Well, and he spoke at development camp about trying to not change completely the way he plays because of that circumstance in Gatineau, where he's going to have more of an opportunity to produce points, but also just to better round his game, being able to rein in some of the aggressiveness, emotional response within games that sometimes leads to penalties. He spoke about that at development camp, about working with the Blackhawks mental skills coach in that way, and being able to kind of tweak how he is on the ice, and knowing that role that he's going to need to play, and not necessarily having to be in the penalty box as often as he was this past season. I mean, and he's a guy that has the game where he can go out and put up points, try and play an offensive role, or there's a game where if he's not necessarily being able to produce or be effective offensively in the score sheet, he'll go. There was a Memorial Cup, not Memorial Cup, a playoff game in the Q where he had, I think it was like 4 or 5 shots on goal and like 10 registered hits. Like he didn't get a point, didn't get a goal, but he was. That's a way to be effective. And there's not too many players that you can teach to go out and do that. It's a style that a player wants to play, and he wants to do that.
Like I said, he almost has to stop himself.
Yeah.
You said, who do you say? You said he almost undercut. Was it Korchinski?
Korchinski, yes.
Wait, that's a teammate. Wait.
Maybe I don't need to do this hit.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't. While you want them to use those instincts in a good way and not at the wrong time, it is something you can't really coach into a player either.
Right.
Either you've got that attitude in you or you don't. And I think the confidence he has and the swagger he has, you could just see it in the way he carries himself. He knows he's a good hockey player,
confident guy,
right?
yeah.
Like, he knows that he belongs, and it shows. And that's sort of thing where we've seen guys. I always think about Kirby Dach, is all the skill in the world, but I feel like Kirby Dach didn't believe in himself. And maybe it was because he was rushed, or because he didn't have immediate success, or because he had a bunch of fluky injuries in a row that kind of led to that mental thing with him. But right now, Savoie doesn't have that. I feel like you could put him on the ice now, and he's gonna perform. He's gonna do pretty well. I'm not saying I want him in the NHL anytime soon, but I'm just saying I think if he gets in a couple preseason games, you're gonna see him and say,
It'll be fun.
this kid doesn't look like he's lost by any means.
Yeah.
Last piece of tape we want to do, because there's a couple other news items we want to get to. We caught up with Drew Commesso after practice as well, and he emphasized how he spent his offseason getting in shape and getting ready for his first pro career.
First day out there of prospect camp, how did it go?
It went great. It was great to get back on the ice with the other prospects. Finally have everyone here to skate together. So I thought it was a great pace. Obviously, the prospect pool is extremely talented. So anytime you can surround yourself with great players on the ice, you make yourself better. And it's great for today.
What are you looking personally to take out of this week and then these games over the weekend?
Yeah, I think early in the year you kind of just want to get the pace back, and summer hockey, obviously, a lot of guys aren't playing defense, but to get the pace back really early is great. Especially once you move to the next level, it gets faster, right? So, personally for me, it's getting my feet under myself, skating, beating pucks on my feet, and I feel like I've done such a good job this summer of doing that, and for me, it's really been a smooth transition so far. So.
Yeah, how did your training vary from going into a college season versus your first pro season? You do anything differently, or have any more help, I guess, along the way?
I did. To be honest, I did a lot more than I typically do. Having some money was nice. I could put into my own training and really invest in myself. So I was doing yoga classes 3 times a week, which helped so much. I've really noticed that on the ice, that piece of it. Taking care of myself, my recovery, my breath work helped a ton. And then, like I said, I kind of took up Andre Vasilevsky's training, and that helped me a ton this summer. I put on about 8 pounds. I'm up to 191 pounds. So that's really right where you want to be for my height. You look at goalies in NHL that I play like and that I watch, Ilya Sorokin, Igor Shesterkin, and they're all right there. So I knew if I could put myself in a position where I'm around that, I'd be in a great spot for camp. So.
Now that you've had some time off, you guys had the development camp, it was all off ice. What are the benefits from that week now that you've got everybody back on the ice and what's carried over?
I think when you look around the locker room and on the ice, just how close the guys are. And, I know everyone can speak for that as well. As I think we got so close from that camp. And on the championship teams I bet on, like the one in Boston University last year, when you have so much success, I think the main difference is just how close the guys are in the locker room and, how much they care for each other and buy in for each other. And, that's something I know that they're preaching here. And, the prospect pool is so tight, tighter than I could ever imagine, to be honest. So, that week was huge, just building the off-ice piece of it, and they did a terrific job.
That's Drew Commesso, Blackhawks goaltender, and he added, I saw Ben Pope tweeted this out, and thanks to Zach for reminding us that Commesso also said that he spent almost every day of the summer in Boston with Jeremy Swayman, the Bruins goalie, getting ready for the season too. So that's huge, man. Getting ready with some of these guys who have had some NHL success and have made that transition. I'm excited to see how he does in Rockford, and I think knowing Peter Mrazek and goalies in general, we might get to see Commesso up here for a couple games this year. Yeah,
training with Jeremy Swayman, following the Andre Vasilevsky off-season training regimen. Those are some good guys to emulate for sure.
Yeah.
Comesso's going to make his pro debut with Rockford, and had a pretty solid career with Boston. I think there's still a lot of promise to his game and potential. It'll be interesting to see how the net is shared in Rockford, because I know they'll also have Jackson Stauber there. Mitchell Weeks will be in there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they rotate those guys through. But yeah, I would be shocked if Commesso doesn't get some NHL time this year, just based off of either merit or you don't wish for injuries, but they happen.
I mean, look what happened last year. Dylan Wells had to play.
Right,
game,
you had at least five different
Jackson
starting goalies.
Stauber, for crying out loud.
Right,
got NHL starts last year, which is not something anybody expected. He did well. My favorite little bit from Commesso there was we were talking. We asked him about his off-season training. I was like, "Well, now that I got some money, I could do like some more." That made me chuckle.
It's like, true though. You get to pay into a goalie training, and
he's doing all the right things. He wants to get better. Anders Sorensen said that he looked a lot quicker laterally around the net, so that's good. Listen, if you're following the footsteps of Andres Vasilevsky and you're watching Sorokin and Shesterkin, outside of maybe being obsessed with Russian goalies, you're trying to emulate the three best goalies in the game right now. Guys that have won Stanley Cups, guys that have won Vezinas. I mean, if you were to ask all the hockey writers out there, name your three best goalies in the league right now, I would guess those three are going to be on almost
some sort of order.
Almost every ballot.
Yep.
So those are the guys. Hey, if those are the guys you want to be, I'm here for it.
That'd be great.
Yeah. I mean,
any of those
he
three.
wasn't like, hey, I want to be Brian Elliott. No offense to Brian Elliott, but
Jordan Binnington. I've been working on crap my pants in anger.
I'm wearing diapers under my
Tossing
pads.
a lot of water bottles. Yeah.
No, shoot for the big. Go for be the best.
Yeah. Why not?
That's what I love to hear.
Absolutely. All right, we got a couple little news items on the other side of the break here. Updates on Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane. Also, TSN published an article about Seth Jones, and the headline was a little misleading, so we want to make sure we mention that. Well, TSN doesn't usually do that, which is... I found that odd.
It was a staff writer. It wasn't one of their...
maybe it was an AI-written...
It could have been AI story. Yeah.
Well, this read about Fubo is not written by AI, damn it.
Robots.
This is made by humans. Human writings. Go to FuboTV.com/CHGO. Why? Because you can get 140 plus live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device. You can watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price. Not good enough yet? All right, how about this? How about you start watching immediately with a free trial so you can test it for yourself and say, hey, you know what? Jay's right. Fubo is pretty damn awesome. They've got that picture-in-picture for your sporting events as you're flipping between the Cubs and maybe Hawks preseason games or Thursday Night Football or whatever. It's all there for you. No contract, no cable, no hassle. Just sign up at FuboTV.com/CHGO and start watching. You'll get 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge, and you can watch your local teams while traveling. College football is here. The NFL is here. You've got NFL Network. You've got Red Zone if you want Red Zone, which I was locked and loaded on from noon to 3 until the Bears kicked off. Ryder Cup, all that stuff. Watch all your favorite college football and the NFL with Fubo. Go to FuboTV.com/CHGO to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. That's FuboTV.com/CHGO.
And hey, if you're looking to kick back on the couch and watch yourself a crap ton of Fubo TV, why not do it from the comfort of your home or wherever? Well, comfort of your home is the best setting for this. Cracking open a delicious ice-cold Goose Island beer. Goose Island is the official beer sponsor of us here at CHGO, and they have been Chicago's beer since 1988. And they have a tremendous year-round beer roster featuring the full pocket pills, the everyday beer that the Goose Island beer brewers are drinking. You have the family of Beer Hug IPAs, the Imperial IPAs that are 9.9 ABV and dangerously easy to drink. Of course, you have the golden cans of 312, the wheat ale, the staple of Goose Island's year-round beer roster. And this time of year, if you want to feel your most German, reach for a Goose Island Oktoberfest beer. Those are on the shelves, getting you ready for the fall season, Oktoberfest season, which starts in September. Don't ask me why. But you can grab all of these ultra-fresh brewery-exclusive beers and more at Goose Island's original brewhouse on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or you can go to their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Again, that's the Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
And if you're heading on the road this weekend, maybe you're taking a road trip up to Minnesota to check out the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase. Before you load up and fuel up, make sure you stop off and visit our friends at Circle K. We are very excited to partner with our friends at Circle K. Check out your local Circle K for the best coffee, beer, snack selection, and premium gas. I bet you can get some ice-cold Goose Island right out of the cooler at your local Circle K. Also, check out for freebies and giveaways down the road. They're the best place to fuel up your car and fuel up your stomach and quench your thirst. Circle K is the best for all your road trip needs and your everyday vehicle needs. So thanks for Circle K for sponsoring CHGO, and visit the nearest Circle K to pick up all your favorite finds. And speaking of the Kurvers Prospect Showcase this weekend, before we move on, saw a couple things in the chat I want to address. People asking, and a lot of people on Twitter asking as well, how can we watch these two games? Unfortunately, you're only going to be able to watch Sunday's game against the Wild. It's going to be on the Minnesota Wild's YouTube page. They're going to stream both of the Wild games. So Friday's game against the Blues Prospect, as far as we know, there's no streaming of it at all. So, but you can watch Sunday's game versus the Wild. So go ahead to the Minnesota Wild's YouTube page for that. Someone asked about practice tomorrow. Practice is open to the public at the Fifth Third Arena. It's free. It starts at 10 a.m., 10 to noon tomorrow. So
Get there
Not
early.
a lot of people there today, except that one guy who changed jerseys.
Yeah.
An adult man.
The a jersey I thought I would never, ever see in the Wild, a Michael Latta practice jersey. A Blackhawks Michael Latta practice jersey. So, I think
that was the first part of
either
practice.
that was Michael Latta, or it must have literally fallen off the back of the truck, and he picked it up and said, "Oh, cool."
my theory is that he finished dead last in his fantasy hockey league, and the punishment is to wear the Michael Latta practice jersey in public to a Blackhawks practice. So 3 guys on a podcast can make fun of you.
Yeah.
Well, then he switched.
Mission accomplished.
He switched to a Mike Ruzioni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of an upgrade.
Zach also asking,
kinda.
will Bedard be in the game that's on Sunday? We're not. The plan is for him to play. We don't know if he's going to play in both games. I mean, when you look at the rosters, there's not a ton of options. Like, most of those guys are going to have to play.
Yeah, they don't. It's not like they have 50 guys playing, and it's going to be 2 different rosters for each game. They only have about 20.
They have 14 forwards.
Yeah, I was going to say they only have about 23 or 24 guys in camp total.
I think he will probably play in both, and we didn't really get into this. Maybe we can do it tomorrow or quickly today. But Bedard wants to be treated like a normal member of the team.
Yeah.
And you can't keep him in bubble wrap. I get, like, the fear of him getting hurt in one of these games, of course, but if he wants to be one of the guys and he wants to play, you can't treat him differently from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you limit his ice time a little bit. Don't give him as many shifts as other guys that you want to get a bigger look at. Cool. But you can't, like, just hold him out just because he's Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
Because what that does is create a separation between him and everyone else, and that is the last thing he wants, let alone, I think, what his teammates want.
Yeah, it's the last thing that the Blackhawks want, and I think we saw it through the development camp, being off ice, having all of them together, doing all their activities and whatnot. I think the Blackhawks, as a team and as an organization, on a business side of things too, they want to be able to market this next group together. Bedard is the headliner. There's no doubt about that. But they want people to be just as excited about Connor Bedard in the future as they are about Lucas Reichel, Frank Nazar, Oliver Moore, Korchinski, so on and so forth. They want the group collectively to be the stars of the future for the Blackhawks, not just Bedard and his merry men.
Yeah. And Anders Sorensen was asked specifically, what's the plan for Connor Bedard? And he is basically, coach speak, not tell you much of anything. He says he's going to be here tomorrow, and after that, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't let us in on the plan on how much he's going to play or if he's playing both days or not. But we'll find out.
I love when we get to talk to Anders Sorensen, because it's just like you can get so many questions in because they're just very quick, succinct answers. And if he doesn't have anything to tell you, he will say, I really can't tell you anything about that.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
But he does answer questions.
But he
though.
does, yeah. What
right
he
to the
will
point.
tell you, he will tell you bluntly.
Yes. You should try covering him after a tough playoff loss.
Yeah.
He obviously doesn't want to talk to you, but he will tell you exactly what he can, and he won't
Mince
lose
words.
it with a bunch of cliches.
Yeah.
Either. He's straight, direct to the point.
Yep.
All right, Seth Jones. This is the headline from TSN. Jones wants to become Blackhawks' next captain, which, of course, got our attention. And the reason Connor Bedard was not in practice today is the same reason Seth Jones was not practicing with the veterans before. They're both in Las Vegas for the NHL media event, NHL media tour. So Jones was asked today just kind of about the vacant captaincy. And Jones said, I've always wanted to be a captain. I've learned from some great leaders, Shea Weber, Nick Foligno, Jonathan Toews. I mean, I played with some of the greatest captains that we've ever seen. It would be pretty special. I understand where the organization is at. I'm focused on going and just playing my game and leading, whether I have a C, an A, or nothing on my jersey. I don't think that should change. Taser always used to say that in the room the past couple of years, everybody has a voice in here. Everyone is allowed to speak up and say what they want. It shouldn't be just 4 or 5 guys who are able to talk. If you're an 18-year-old, you should be able to speak your mind. So I really took that to heart. So there's nothing in there that sounds like he's stumping for the captaincy. I think he was asked about it and said, if offered, yeah, that would be great.
Right.
Which is that's something you'd like to hear from him.
Yeah.
But he is wearing, for the record, at the media weekend, media tour, whatever you call it, he is wearing an A on his sweater.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I think he kind of said the same things towards the end of, at the end of last season when it was, basically put out there that Toews wasn't coming back. I think it might have been the exit interview days, talking about the captaincy and just saying like, yeah, it would be something that would be really cool, but he's focused on just being a leader in general with the team, and I think that's completely fine. And do I think the Blackhawks are going to make not only Seth Jones but anybody a captain this year? No. Do I think Seth Jones will ever be the future captain of the Blackhawks? No. I think it's Connor Bedard. I think it happens next year. And I just think that that's where it's going to go. And Seth Jones has a voice in the locker room, has had a voice in all the locker rooms he's been in. But I think just circumstantially where the team is at, who they want to be the face of their franchise, who they feel like probably will be the face, the biggest voice, the best player, the ticket seller, all of that moving forward, I think it's going to be Connor Bedard, and I really don't think there's any question behind that. So if you give Seth Jones or Connor Murphy or whoever the captaincy this year, I think you end up kind of doing a disservice to Bedard, which we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but every checkbox for being a leader in the NHL, I'm fairly confident that Bedard can and will check it very quickly. So, and I think too, if you're following Toews, you're not going to do it with someone who's either a stopgap or who you're going to take it away from. You want to give it to the next person who you think is going to be there for 10, 12, 15 years.
Yeah, at the risk of agreeing with you again.
I disagree. There we go. There's our quota.
Thank you.
I do think Bedard is the captain of the future. Everybody that's ever talked about him just says he's got that leadership quality. So giving it to Seth Jones this year just to take it away from next year, that's just causing issues.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily with Seth Jones, but it's going to get all the stuff that we saw. Oh, my God, Seth Jones went private on Instagram. He unfollowed the Blackhawks. Well, imagine if they make him captain for a year and then take it away.
That would be just so
double
weird.
unfollow.
Exactly.
It would be so weird.
It's just so if they are going to do if Luke Richardson feels the team needs a captain this year and they're not ready to give it to Bedard, you probably have to go the route of someone who's probably not going to be here beyond this year. So maybe a guy like Nick Foligno gets to see. He's worn it before. That could be your veteran guy. If Luke Richardson feels he needs that just to have that for like the guy to go work over the refs after a penalty or something. Foligno's really good at that. Mm-hmm. So maybe they do that. I could see them doing that or not doing the C at all. Teams have done it before. The Hawks did it before. Yeah. It's not
currently there's 10 teams that don't have a captain.
Right, and a lot of those didn't. The Coyotes didn't have a captain last year.
The physical letter doesn't change anything.
No, I mean you know who the leaders are on this team. You don't need a C on there to make the guy, the guy. The C just gives you a little more leeway. I think when talking to the refs, it gets you, a little more, national media. People will want to talk to you more. There's more of that responsibility with it. But we'll see how it plays out. But I agree. Bedard is the guy. He's the heir apparent to Jonathan Toews. But if you need a guy this year, Nick Foligno, I think is a good guy. Michael Evans says Captain Corey Perry. I would love that just for the reaction.
Captain Pudwack.
If you're gonna give, if anyone on this team has earned a C, it's Connor Murphy.
Right.
Sure.
If you're going to give it to someone for 1 year or 2 years or until you determine that Connor Bedard's ready, because you feel like you have to have the C laundry instead of the A laundry, it makes literally no difference. But whatever, semantics.
Yeah.
If you have to give it to someone, to me, that's who gets it.
I think it's a good choice, too.
He's been here the longest.
Yeah.
He has been the most vocal. He has spoken up not only on hockey issues, but on social issues. That's everything you want in a captain. And, yeah, he's not your best defenseman or the sexiest player in the world in terms of production, but that's a guy I want in my locker room if I'm the GM of 32 NHL teams.
Luke Richardson was a captain in his career, and he was never the star player or the sexiest player or the big point producer or anything like that. It comes down to who do you want to kind of be the face and voice of your team and of your locker room. And what I like is that it's not necessarily this decision of either this year or next year or whatever naming a captain. It's not coming down to what does ownership want, what does management want, what does the coaching staff want. Luke Richardson has kind of laid it out as we're gonna let our guys in our dressing room dictate who they feel like they would want as a captain. And if they collectively say this year, yes, Connor Murphy, Seth Jones, Nick Foligno, whoever, if they collectively say that, if that's what the team wants, then sure, go for it. I just think it just feels set up that it just will be Bedard. Like that just feels like that's the route that it's going to go. McDavid had a very similar route. Jonathan Toews had a very similar route.
Well, look, I
just think that's where it's going to go.
They were saying all the same things about Toews when he came out of the World Juniors in Canada and when he came out of North Dakota, born leader, future captain.
Yeah.
And they say all these things about Connor Bedard. There's people in the chat that are irritating me right now. We're not pulling the Connor Bedard love out of whole cloth. There's a reason he has been the NHL's top and most profiled prospect since he was 14 years old. This is not like we're elevating Frank Nazar or we're elevating Kevin Korchinski. This is Connor freaking Bedard. You had several teams in the league do everything they could to get this kid this year, right? We're not making this up. And if he struggles this year, I don't think we're going to freak out. It's a rookie. Mm-hmm. We talked about overs and unders before for him. We settled anywhere between 45 and 80 points is realistic. That's a huge gap.
Right. Yeah.
But again, we're not just pulling this out. Do you think when Connor McDavid was drafted that the Oilers podcast weren't talking about Connor McDavid more than anybody? Of course. We're going to talk about Connor Bedard. It's going to happen there. I'm done. Okay. We have Seth Jones from April. This is after the Hawks were, at the last minute eliminated from playoff contention.
Darn.
Damn. But we had the exit interviews with some players, and Seth Jones actually addressed the possibility of being the Hawks' next captain. This is from April 14th, I believe.
That's what it says.
That's what's in the yearbook, Jim.
I mean, are you open to the possibility of being the captain next year?
That'd be a huge honor. I mean, the captains for the Chicago Blackhawks in the past are, it's a category that's obviously unbelievable to be in, and if I'm lucky enough to be, that'd be awesome. But I got to focus on my game, and if that comes, it comes.
I mean, are you open to the possibility of being the captain next year? That'd be.
We'll boost it and we'll clean it up in post.
We'll retweet it and head to the Twitter account.
We'll do it live. Exactly.
That lives on our Twitter account if you want to go and find it.
I'll just retweet it right now. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he talked about it, and I think, like we said, it's would every player on a hockey team like to be a captain? I would say most of them would. But it's just something that, as it does mean something to be named captain. So not everybody can do that. But if it goes that way, then Seth Jones is your captain, and you move forward with him in that role, and you go from there.
Yep, as you said, if the team wants it, then that's what it will be.
Yep.
And it's not for us to sit here and
The locker room will dictate it.
Yep.
The last bit of news we have here, Pat Brisson was a guest on the Athletic Hockey Podcast this morning. He spoke with Pierre LeBrun and Michael Russo and was asked about a number of things, including Patrick Kane. Here's what he had to say about Patrick Kane. Well, I'm so proud of him. First of all, his rehab has been unbelievable. He's been so dedicated because rehab is as important, if not more, than the surgery itself. We've had many conversations here and there. There's a lot of interest with Patrick Kane, but our goal here is to see if and when he clears. And again, I'm not going to put dates, whether it's November or December. I don't know. At that point, we'll look at the landscape. We'll look at what the needs are going to be for certain teams, the cap space. There's going to be so many other factors that we don't know yet in 3 months or 4 months or 2.5. And I think we're going to be in a really good seat at that point to make the right decision with Patrick Kane. So there's on Patrick Kane's future. But again, he's saying November, December, which seems a little bit ahead of schedule. Reports are he's just killing his rehab, which is not surprising.
Well, Kane himself said, could I come back at the beginning of a season? Yes. Do I want to come back at 90%? No. So take that for what
and
it's
of
worth.
course, the agent's going to put it out there like, man, he's looking so good.
He looks so good.
Yeah.
Looking like a $10 million player.
Fire coming
Let
off
me
his
tell you,
skates.
sign that 3-year, $30 million contract. It's worth every penny.
And here is, before we wrap up, Pat Brisson on Jonathan Taves. With Johnny, he's doing well. He's feeling well. He released a statement a few weeks ago that he wants to take some extra time. He knows his body, knows what he wants. Would I be surprised if he calls me in November or December and wants to play again? Maybe. I don't know. But the one thing I know is he's in a good place right now. And I think for Hawks fans, that's really good to hear.
That's all I want to hear.
Yeah.
And you can see on his social media, he's kind of seeing the world and living life a little bit. And, good for him. Jonathan Taves deserves to have a nice, long, happy, fulfilling life. And hopefully he can still have that despite all the stuff he's been through, concussion-wise and illness-wise and all the things he's dealt with. Hopefully he's still, by the end of, whenever he is done playing hockey, he's got a long and healthy life ahead of him.
Take this year as a toe dip into life after hockey and see how you feel. It's good to hear that he's in that position, because at the end of the day, that's all that's important for him right now, is to feel his best after going through what he went through physically and what he did to get to a point where he could get back on the ice and play. Good to hear for him.
All right. Well, we're going to be back tomorrow, and like it or not, you're going to hear from Connor Bedard.
Real quick, Michael Evans earlier asked if we finished the mailbag yesterday. We did not.
We did not.
The mail sack is still partially full. We have
It's over there in the
saved.
corner.
Leftovers are still in the
So,
fridge.
yeah, we still
We'll get
have
to
them.
them.
Yeah.
Maybe Friday.
Yeah. Well,
Friday, there's no media availability Friday,
Yeah.
so probably that.
Friday is just kind of a morning skate atmosphere, no media availability. So, I think maybe Friday we can
yeah,
finish
we'll
it.
wrap up the mailbag
And then
then.
once you finish the show Friday, you're driving to Minnesota to stream on your phones the
I would
Kurvers
love to.
Showcase game.
I would love to do that, but
I'm sure getting out of here at like 3:45 is going to be easy.
give me
to
that
get to
corporate
Minnesota.
card and I'll do it.
Sorry, boys. I'll be at Riot Fest. You
Uber,
enjoy those leftovers.
Uber helicopter.
Yeah.
All right, so Bedard arrives tomorrow. He will meet the assembled media, so we'll have him at the brand new and improved lectern. No longer with problematic imagery in some people's minds.
It's a new podium.
So we'll have that going tomorrow. So you'll hear from Bedard and a whole lot more. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. On your way out, please smash that like button for us. Get in that habit as the season starts to take fold here. That's the best thing you can do for us while watching live or the recording on YouTube. We'd appreciate that very, very much. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.